question on everybody's mind is, what is Austin's housing market going to do after the election? This is a question that I've been getting so many times during 2024. I've done a couple other videos about market predictions and what I think is going to happen. Historically, election years always have a massive effect on the housing market, whether it's in Austin, in Texas, or just like the US in general. 2024 having been an election year coupled with high interest rates and some, I would say, uncertainty in our economy has just provided for a very weird market. The last 4 years have been kind of the wild, wild west of real estate markets, and this year is no exception. So I'm gonna dive in today. I'm gonna share with you some data that I found about election years and how this year's election could potentially affect our real estate market in the coming years. I also found a really useful graph showing market trends after election years since like the 70s up to today. So if you like graphs and if you like data and all that kind of information, make sure to watch this video all the way to the end because we're going to dive in and share predictions. Hi guys, I'm Daphne Quay, your boss lady realtor here in Austin, Texas. And if you're thinking about buying or selling a home in the Austin area, make sure to reach out. My contact information is in the description below, and you can also set up a direct one-on-one video call with me. Also, if you're watching this video from any other part of the US or the Americas in general, and you need to buy or sell a home wherever you're located, I have realtor partners all over who are already willing and able to help, and I can get you guys connected. Okay, so let's jump in. First of all, I want to look at this graph that I found from evergreenhomeloans.com, which outlines trends from each election year since 1978. As you can see by this key up here, the election year is highlighted in blue, and then in green and yellow, it says year after the election. If we look at the bottom row of numbers, that is the years that we are looking at. And then on the left-hand side, the numbers that we have here listed by the millions is the US annual existing home sales. So let's dive in. So in the year 2000, we had an election, of course, and it was showing that in 2000, there were just over 5 million home sales throughout the US. This isn't specific to Austin necessarily. It covers the nation as a whole. The following year, in 2001, highlighted here in green, we can see that number went up just a little bit. Now, to be fair, in 2001, there was a whole lot of nonsense going on with the mortgage industry and a lot of people were getting approved for loans that they couldn't have, et cetera, et cetera. But the sentiment here is that people had enough trust in the government and in the economy to make a home purchase. We can also see the following years, 2002 and 2004, those trends kept going up and up. So here we are in 2004, another election year. National home sales were hovering right below 7 million. The following year, in 2005, they spiked up just over the 7 million mark. 2006, 7, and 8, there was a pretty substantial drop as we were entering an economic depression, recession, I don't know, don't come at me, but our national market was going to crap. That was an extremely volatile time, and that was a really terrible time in American financial history. So here we are in 2008, the national home sales were just over the 4 million mark, but then in 2009, home sales spiked again. Looks like they leveled out in 2010 and 11, and then they were up again by 2012. So we move forward to 2012. There is, I would say, a fairly significant jump as far as home sales go from 2008 to 2012 for very obvious reasons. By 2012, things were starting to kind of normalize in our economy again. There were also several home buying incentives provided by the government, and property was still really cheap. So in 2012 is actually when I got my license to be a realtor here in Austin, and I remember you could buy a really big home, not like super nice, but like nice enough home in like Round Rock or Pflugerville for like $180,000, and interest rates were 3-4%. It was very, very reasonable. Those were the days. Okay, so we had the 2012 election, and then the following year in 2013, there was a spike up in home sales again. Yeah, so looking more closely at 2013, it looks like it was just over 5 million homes sold. There was a little bit of fluctuation in the following years, then we make it to 2016, election year, and just a marginal bump up in home sales in the following year. Things kind of held steady, I would say, throughout, and then we make it to 2020, another election year, and another spike in home sales. 2020, as we can all recall, was a very weird year. Of course, we had the pandemic, and then in 21 and 22 is when we had the buying frenzy, when we had no inventory, and that was pretty much true all over the US. The thing I really want to focus on, though, is the fact that there has always been an uptick in home sales after an election year. All politics aside, during an election year, it seems like people just hold off and wait to see what's going on. And then the following year, home buyers re-enter the market. So I've had my real estate license in Austin since 2012, and that's pretty much what I've seen every election year, with the exception of 2020. Each election year, the market pretty much goes dead from July till like early November. Then immediately after the election, people start buying homes again. I think just in general, because it is the holiday season, like the winter months, there's just going to be a little bit of a lull in the market, but I fully expect the spring market to be fairly strong. Of course, it depends greatly on interest rates. Originally, the Fed had said that they were going to bring down interest rates, I want to say 4 times before Q2 of 2025. Now I have heard that after the election, the Fed only plans on bringing down the interest rate 4 times by Q2 of 2025. However, the federal rate doesn't necessarily have an effect on mortgage rates. In fact, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, when the Fed did drop rates, mortgage interest rates actually went up by 0.1% of a point. Not a huge swing in either direction, but it goes to show that if the Fed does lower interest rates, it doesn't necessarily mean that mortgage interest rates will go down. So what I think is going to happen in our housing market in Q1 and Q2 of 2025 is I think it's safe to expect a fairly normal spring market. Spring is usually the strongest market in Austin. That is when we tend to see more homes going on the market. That is when we see more buyers out and about looking to buy homes. Now, just because mortgage interest rates are probably going to be hovering right around 6%, maybe 6.5%. I don't see this massive influx of home buyers coming in and buying up all 15,000 homes that we have on the market. But because it is no longer an election year and people just have more general confidence in the marketplace in general, because all the politics have, we'll call it, have been settled, people are more willing to invest their money and buy property. Now, if we continue to see similar interest rates as well as like a normal spring market, I don't see home prices changing too much. I don't expect it to be the type of market where we have 17 buyers making an offer on one home and the home ends up selling for $200,000 over the asking price. Even if we were to go into multiple offers on a home, it's probably going to be 2 or 3 parties max, and it might sell for maybe an extra $10,000 over the asking price, if not at asking price. Just in general, completing an election year, whether you're on one side or the other, it gives people certainty and understanding of what is going on with the government, I guess, as much as we can, being part of the public. This ultimately creates more confidence in the marketplace, our economics, etc. So all that to say, I think we're going to be in a pretty good, healthy spot to have a pretty normal spring market. We could potentially expect some multiple offers, but on a very small scale. And I still believe that inventory is going to be fairly high, simply because we've had a very consistent amount of homes on the market throughout 2024. We've seen anywhere from about 14 to 15,000 homes on the market at one time. And I don't see all of those homes being suddenly all bought out. And I think generally our housing market's going to be pretty much in the buyer's favor, with maybe a couple exceptions here or there. So those are basically my thoughts on the effect that the election is going to have on our housing market over the next year or so. Of course, there could be a ton of other things that develop as we go that we don't know about. So be ready for anything. So those are my thoughts based off of the information that we have available to us today. So guys, again, I'm Daphne Quay, your Boss Lady Realtor. And if you're thinking about buying or selling a home anywhere in the Austin area, make sure to contact me. My contact information is in the description below, and you can also set up a one-on-one video call with me. Thank you so much for watching.